Hi, good afternoon. This is the Composite, and I am Deanne Battle. I'm so out of sorts today. I started the show on the wrong Instagram channel. So, it is what it is. Hey, how's everybody doing? So anyone that's seen more than one episode knows about my accident prone life. My ambition can generally exceed my capacity. And so I wanted to go live last night, but the issue was I started having like a spasm here in my neck to my shoulder from, driving and stuff. So I was like, okay, I gotta go lay down. So that's what I did. All right. But I'm back. All right. So again, and I'll always say this, thank you to anybody that does hop on the lives, that might ever hop on the lives, and that goes to the YouTube and here to see the playbacks. I appreciate the support as I try to grow the show and grow the platform. Okay, so I will say the date. It is Friday, May 10th. And so what's going on? I wanted to say a quick word about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, which I don't really think it's a beef anymore at this point. So I was not really following it when everything came out because it's just, I'm kind of getting where Andre 3000 is with hip hop. It's a younger person's game. It's not that I don't listen to it anymore, but I just feel like I'm really out of the loop. I just don't know the threads, right, of relevancy in terms of who's out, who's good versus who's popular, all of that stuff. I just don't know the details. And so I've always liked Kendrick from the beginning. Drake grew on me because as a teacher, there's no way that you've been, a teacher in the last 10 to 15 years and that you, in my opinion, you don't know at least one Drake song. The kids play it all the time. And so that was my gateway into it. And it was my first year as a teacher, and the students wanted to make a hype playlist for themselves because we were going into exams. And so I was at a community college, and so the main song that they played was Started From the Bottom, Now We're Here. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. So it's when that song comes on, I always think of my students. In general, there are a few tracks from Drake that make me think of my students, what's the one? Kiki, Do You Love Me? From several years ago. But there was a group of girls that I used to teach and they had a little dance to it and stuff like that. So, which makes this beef problematic, right? Because a lot of the stuff that Kendrick is claiming is, turning the rock over hey, you're a really sketchy and problematic person and you're targeting, you are targeted to children, in terms of marketing, things like that. And you seem to target children, according to Kendrick, allegedly. So it's been weird, to try to catch up with the songs, although they were just going rapid fire. It was okay, I don't know what's going on. But anyway, it's been interesting on one hand to think about the content. Let me clarify my thoughts. Thinking about the content on one side and then thinking about on the other side, well, what does that mean for the quote unquote culture? All right. So the content, I actually, and I've said this to folks, I don't think this is a beef because to me, when I think of, in the past MCs getting into a quote unquote beef, it's like challenging someone to a duel, right? It's like, right? And then you turn backs to each other 3 paces and shoot. Meaning there are rules of engagement. I feel like other quote unquote beefs have had rules for engagement. Kendrick is just you should die. I mean, there's just, to me, it's the beef. That's not a beef. That's something else. I mean, what Kendrick is doing, in my opinion, and I'm focused really on him because I haven't listened to the Drake responses as much, again, just because I gravitate toward Kendrick, and doesn't mean that Drake doesn't have value in terms of hip hop. It's just, that's my preference. But it's, you're listening to these songs and it's just the stuff that's being said. It's just wow, there was no boundary in terms of, okay, I'm going to address your mother and your son and your daughter. Like, it's like, whoa. Like, to me, a beef is, it's not that you don't talk about people personally, but it really feels like Kendrick is doing a combination of a PSA, meaning, hide your kids, hide your wife, here comes Drake, right? But then on the other side being like, I shouldn't even have to address you because you're not a man. Like, that's not a beef. That's, a beef is to me like, okay, I don't like you, you don't like me, but we're on the same level here or whatever. Kendrick is like, I gotta look down to make this happen. You're a clown. And so there's no respect between the two of them, which sounds weird to say because I lived through the Jay-Z Nas beef, right? Which, I'm going to say something here. I'm thinking about how I want to package it. I feel to a certain extent when Kendrick did Meet the Grams, he ethered ether to a certain extent, like not necessarily like lyrical flow, but just the brutality of the attack. Like, it was really, really brutal. And that's not to say, oh, you should do it or you shouldn't do it. But I just feel we're in such a raw time right now, globally and culturally, that it's like the time and the intersection where this beef is hitting, it's hitting people hard. You have lawyers, professors, like all these people chiming in on the lyrical content of the Drake versus Kendrick beef. Maybe it's because that show Versus is not going anymore. Maybe people like just need that entertainment as a release. I don't know, but to me it's just been amazing how many different sectors of society are all descending on this beef and giving their commentary. Oh, and there was also, I heard it this morning, I don't know the dude's name. He did a bachata remix, and it's, what is it? It's LBBL. Look up LBBL. That's all I'm gonna say. It's so funny. I was like, wow. But it's, hip hop is global, right? And so to see these two individuals going back and forth at it, it's drawing eyes. One person did say that they didn't like how in all of these rap beefs, especially this one, women and children are kind of, I'm going to paraphrase here, cannon fodder for this beef, meaning like, oh, I'm going to talk about your wife, I'm going to talk about your wife, I'll talk about your daughter, so on and so forth. And so I think that that's really a great point. A lot of people, again, I'm just kind of like summarizing internet chatter. It's not like I read an article per se, even though I'm sure that there are articles. But let's see here. Another comment was like, oh, they need to just stop the beef because it's going to get violent. And then someone was like, hold on a second. Nobody's been talking about stabbing, killing, shooting, anybody or doing anything like that. It's just been character assassination. So you could argue that this beef is not as bad as the Pac Biggie beef. I would argue that too. It's just, especially again, that intersection of when things are hitting, thinking about the allegations that came out against Diddy and everything like that. I think it's just another touch point where industry scandals are being, the rock is being turned over and that stuff is coming up. So the fact that, Kendrick is, trying to make Drake adjacent to that, yeah, that's going to be a problem for him. So I wonder when this will be over. Shout out to J. Cole for being like, yo, peace, I'm not in this, I'm done. Sometimes you have to know when to walk away. So shout out to him. That man has been through enough. Somebody blew up his car, so God bless. I just wanted to make a quick comment about that. The last few shows, the format has been, just kind of like an intro, some commentary, got tarot cards here, maybe ask a question generally for the collectivism of humanity or anybody that might want to check into this. And then, maybe do some headlines, although the news has been... Listen, for the people who are going through stuff, whether it's in the United States or all over the world, what I'm experiencing is nothing compared to that. But it is at this particular juncture emotionally challenging for me to continually expose myself to that. So what I've been doing is reducing my news intake over the last six weeks. I found that a little bit helpful. Sorry, I'm just still so tired. And so reducing, how much of those images and the negativity that I'm consuming has been helpful. I do have guilt about it because I feel like I should be engaged. I should be doing more. I just have to be honest to say I don't have the bandwidth right now. Like, I have a lot of stuff that's pressing for me personally that I need to try to accomplish by the fall. So, I'm just kind of like, oh, you're doing the show, Deanne, and you're not like reading articles as much, you're not checking headlines as much, but it's been helpful. I do have one thing that I wanted to look into before we wrap today, because I just saw the headline before I logged on. All right. So we'll do some tarot quickly, look at maybe a couple of poems and then a headline. Just try to keep it chill. Another thing that I think about really is that as much as we live online now, it still doesn't feel like we've found our plazas or parks or community spaces where it's neutral, if that makes any sense, right? So, I'm a native New Yorker. So if I go to Bryant Park, it's just an open park. It's not like, oh, I'm going to Bryant Park, like so-and-so goes there, I can't stand them, right? Whereas social media it's like, oh, I'm going to X, Twitter, and these type of people are there and I can't stand them. So what that means is that if X is, again, the plaza or the park, you're attending the park, going to the park already ready to fight. You know what I mean? And that's so it feels like each social media platform has its vibe like that, for lack of a better word, like this vibe of inherent antagonistic feelings, and it's not that's not community, right? Because you're just waiting for somebody to say something so you can go off, which I just remember I did last week or 2 weeks ago. I made a comment, somebody posted babies reacting to grass, and I didn't realize that babies, because their synapses are learning how to fire and learning how to process, that if something has a weird texture like sands, like grass, they freak out a bit because they're just like, whoa, what is this? Like, they don't understand the sensation. So I just wrote a comment like, oh, look at these babies, like, this is so beautiful. This guy's gonna write, pardon my language, a cunty comment like, oh, actually, this is not a real video because and scientifically it's been shown. Now, everybody's made similar comments to me, but he picks me to shit on. Oh, I let him have it. And I corrected his spelling in the timeline. I was going off, and he was like, you're crazy, and he blocked me. No, you are crazy, sir. Because, as I said to him, I'm just marveling at the beauty of developing babies. What is your problem? So that's X, right? That's how people, they're just looking for something to attack somebody on. But anybody attacking me online, you got the right one. I've got middle-age frustration, black frustration, poverty frustration, female frustration. If you want me to exercise that demon out on you, I'm very happy to do it. So please continue to test me. Like, how much do people think that you're supposed to take? You know? And so all of that being said, these spaces online, right, are not really providing us community, which is what we were told when these sites were created. All it is really data harvesting and collection so they can continue to manipulate us and take more of our money and rights away. That's all that's happening. Community is not happening. I'm doing this as a way to maybe combat that, but I mean, I'm realistic on my reach and in my effect. It's not very big, and I don't know how much it's going to grow. So that is what it is, you know. So it's like, okay, if you're not necessarily finding community online, right, then reduce the intake. So that's just what I've been doing. But like I said, I feel like it's been making me a less informed citizen. I don't know what the balance is yet, but I'll continue to work through it, and I don't mind being transparent about it with you if that's of interest. Hopefully I'm not the only one wondering, like, okay, how do I balance my life struggles with wanting to be of service to the world around me? It's I think one of the biggest challenges of my adulthood. You know, when I was younger, I did much more volunteer work. I feel like I was much more civically engaged, but then, you know, I had to worry less about survival, you know, which is pretty much all I do nowadays. I find like a little bit of time here and there to write, but, you know, there's a lot to weather, you know, and I think I'm doing a decent job, but there's a lot to weather. So that's all I have on that part. Now, tarot, what do I want to ask? So again, if you've ever seen me on here before, I like data points. You know, whether it's Myers-Briggs or human design or tarot or whatever. At this point, like, as long as it's not illegal and nobody's getting hurt or killed or something, I'll just be like, okay, you got an idea? Like, let's chat, let's dialogue. Like, what can I do, right? And what am I looking for? I'm looking for a little bit of external confirmation, right, of intuition. I'm looking for spark. Sometimes, like, you need to disrupt your thought process in order to find guidance. And I've got some stuff I'm trying to solve right now, in addition to writing a book and a business proposal. So I'm busy. So what do we want to ask? What issue can tarot solve for us or give us today? I just thought of a question. I don't know how to phrase it properly, though. Okay, we'll see what the cards do. What I want to ask is, how do we balance our personal needs with being of service to the collective? How do we balance our personal needs with being of service to the collective? Okay, 2, 3, 4, 6. All right, and I like to shuffle in odd number times. All right. Cut the cards. Okay. So you guys want to how do we balance our personal needs with being of service to the collective? Okay. Okay, thank you. Service to, ooh. Okay, I'll leave that here. Thank you. And one more. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is this. So you see me putting the deck all the way over to the side here, so you know I'm not doing any funny business. All right. The reason I'm pausing a second here is because the way some of the cards came out, I don't know if I should read them upright or reversed. So the one in the middle, I'm going to read it upright because it came out and then it fell. All right. But the one on the end, I'll read it in reverse. So what do we have? So we have the Hanged Man, right? We have the Ace of Cups, and we have the Star reversed. All right. So the question was, what can we do, right, to balance our personal needs with being of service to, whatever collective, whether you mean your family, your community, so on and so forth. All right. So the Hanged Man is usually having to do with delays. Also this sense of you're in a holding pattern, you need to wait and be patient, right? So the number's 12. In numerology, I haven't gotten that far yet. In terms of my knowledge set here, I'm not sure what the number 12 means. But anywho, so this is like you need to wait for something. All right. Actually, let me look that up too and double check. And what's interesting, folks, for those that are familiar with tarot, right? We've got in this grouping here, these three cards, there are two major arcana. So major arcana, that means that energy is stronger and it's more powerful. Minor arcana is just kind of like little day-to-day stuff that happens for you, right? So let me do this. I'm going to look up the Hanged Man just in case there's an interpretation that I missed. Do. Slow loading. Goodness. Yeah. Sometimes you have to put everything on hold. So there's something that needs to be on hold here. Right. Now, what's funny is right, we've got the Ace of Cups in the middle, right? So the Ace of Cups is like a new opportunity, either in love, right? Like a cup of love, because water is related to your emotions, or creativity, right? So that is here. And then I'm really thinking about this dove. See that dove diving into the cup? I want to say something about peace for some reason. I'll come back to that. All right. So then this one here, the Star, right? It's reversed. So now the Star usually is hope, right? Hope or like faith after loss, kind of. Hold on. And I mean, I know, but like, that's just how I am. I just like to double check to make sure that I'm correct. Yes. Hope, upright is hope, faith, purpose, renewal, so on and so forth, right? So reversed would be like despair. So, this is interesting. I'm going to try to work through this. So, you need... All right. The way I'm going to interpret this, folks, is, right, we're in this kind of funky holding pattern, right, in order to get us to pay attention, right? So what are we paying attention to? We need to pay attention to these new opportunities, right, that might be coming our way for love or creativity, so on and so forth. Or else it's going to leave us, right, with nothing, with despair. All right, so if we're balancing the personal and the collective, it seems like we need to be more vigilant of what's in front of us. Hold on a second. Let me do this. I'm going to take the deck here. I'm actually going to clarify the star reversed because I still feel like I'm not interpreting that correctly. Can you clarify, please? The star reversed. Okay, thank you. The star reversed is clarified by another major arcana, the Judgment. Okay. The Judgment is like answering the call, right? It just means like, okay, so this is, literally the Judgment. It's like, this is a massive moment to make a decision that's important. Are you going to rise to the occasion or are you going to crumble? Okay, yeah, I was correct. The Judgment card reminds us that we all will be faced with choices that will have an astounding effect on our entire lives. So, like I said, I was correct, but just like, I don't know, it's just my character. I just always get a little self-conscious to make sure I'm saying the right thing. All right, so what does that mean? All right, so again, thinking about these three, and then we'll move on soon. I'm still trying to figure this out and make it pretty. Okay. All right. So we're in this holding pattern right now, right? Because Source really wants us to look around ourselves, right? Well, what are we looking around ourselves for? For an opportunity for love, loving one another, loving our lives, or maybe loving creativity. And then I really, like I said, this bird here as a representation of peace, I think, is important. All right, so that's what we need to be doing if we're thinking about the balance between personal and collective. Like, are you looking around you for opportunities for love, right? Connection, right? Because despair, right? So the star representing hope, but reversed. Despair is not an option, right? It's not an option because we are in a time, right, when we're really going to be called to, the phrase that's coming to me is stand up for our convictions, right? So ultimately, the balance between the personal and collective really comes down to presence of mind, hope, and conviction for what you believe. I don't know if I'm correct on that interpretation. That seems like what's coming through. So hopefully that offers something for someone. All right. A couple of other things that I want to look at here. Last couple of episodes, I've been reading poems. I won't read two today. I'll just read one. But again, thinking about how can I use social media to do something productive, right? Which hopefully is calm your nervous system a little bit. And poetry does that purposefully, all right? Tree Foundation. Let's see what the poem of the day is. Oh, wow. Look at this. So the Poetry Foundation, I did not even know this. Today's poem, folks, is called At This Precise Moment of History. All right. It's a longer one. Let me close the door. I had the door cracked so you can hear me a little better. Yes, so it's just funny because I feel like this connects to the tarot spread I just looked at, all right? So, At This Precise Moment of History by Thomas Merton. Like I said, it's a longer one. 1. At this precise moment of history, with goody two-shoes running for Congress. We are testing supersonic engines to keep God safe in the cherry tree. When I said so in this space last Thursday, I meant what I said. Power struggles. 2. You would never dream of such corn. The colonials in sandalwood like running wide open and available for protection. You can throw them away without a refund. 3. Dr. Hans Stagel. Ooh, so sorry. Let me try that again. Hofstangl. So I'll start that again. 3. Dr. Hofstangl, who was not called Putzi except by those who did not know him, is taped in the National Archives. J. Edgar Hoover, he ought to know, and does know, but calls Dr. Hofstangl Putzi, nevertheless, somewhere on tape in the archives. He, Dr. H, is not a silly man. He left in disgust. About the same time, Shirley Temple sat on Roosevelt's knee, an accomplished pianist, a remembered personality. He, Dr. H, began to teach immortal anecdotes to his mother, a queen bee in the American colony. 4. What is your attitude toward historical subjects? Perhaps it's their size. 5. When I said this in space, you would never believe Corn Conal was so expatriated. If you think you know, take this wheel and become the standard. Let me do that again because I just messed that up. So I'll pause here for a second. This is a weird poem. I have no idea what it means. And it's wonderful because I just, as an English teacher, you tend to, if you, let's say, cover so-and-so's class, right? So it's like if I haven't read the text, I'm speeding through in my head to be okay, this is what it means. I find myself trying to do that with this poem. All right, so this one, and I'll post a link to it actually with this episode. Work through this one. This is a tough one, I would say, even though it's irreverent, which I really like. Okay, so let me do that again because I conflated 4 and 5. 4. What is your attitude toward historical subjects? Perhaps it's their size. 5. When I said this in space, you would never believe Corn Conal was so expatriated. If you think you know, take this wheel and become the standard. 6. She is my only living mother, this bee of the bloody arts, bandaging victims of Saturday's dance like a veritable sphinx in a total new combination. Ooh, I like that. I don't know what it means, but I would say that on a regular basis. 7, the Queen Mother is an enduring vignette at an early age. Now she ought to be kept in submersible decompression chambers for a while. 8, what is your attitude toward historical subjects like queen colonies? They are permanently fortified for shape retention. 9, solid shades. 7, zippered pockets close to my old place, waiting by the road, big disc brakes, spin off, zoom. Long lights stabbing at the two together piggyback in a stark sports roadster, regretting his previous outburst. Al loads his Cadillac with love nests. Whoa, this poem is wild. 10, she is my only living investment. She examines the housing industry, counts 3.5 million post-war children turning 21, and draws her only conclusion in the commercial fishing field. 11, voice of little sexy ventriloquist. Mignon. Oh, whoa. Well, I believe all of us are agreed, and sincerely, I myself believe that honest people on both sides have got it all on tape. Governor Reagan thinks that nuclear wampums are a last resort that ought to be resorted. But Little Mignon went right to the point with, we have a commitment to fulfill, and we better do it quick. No dupe, she. All historians die of the same event at least twice. Ooh. 13. I feel that I ought to be open in this case with an apology. Dr. H certainly has a beautiful voice. He is not a silly man. He is misunderstood even by presidents. 14, you people are criticizing the church, but what are you going to put in her place? Sometimes sit down with a pencil and paper and ask yourself what you've got that the church hasn't. 15, nothing to add but the big voice of a detective using the wrong first names in National Archives. 16, she sat in shocking pink with an industrial zipper specially designed for sitting on the knees of presidents in broad daylight. She spoke the president's mind. We have a last resort to be resorted, and we better do it quick. He wondered at what he just said. 17, it was all like running wide open in a loose gown without slippers, at least someplace. Whoa. Okay, so I've heard the name Thomas Merton, but I will be honest, unless I'm mistaken, I think this is the first poem I've seen by him. Yeah, I will admit I'm stumped, because that's all I really know how to do is study literature. This is a tough one, but it's good. It's entertaining. I think initially, my initial reactions, and I don't know much about history, I must say, it seems like he's, taking this image of the recordings and then Shirley Temple and then another image. He's basically pinging back and forth as a commentary on American Empire, among other things. But wow. Yeah, I'm definitely going to post this. I need to figure out what this means. Number 6, she is my only living mother, this bee of the bloody arts, bandaging victims of Saturday's dance like a veritable sphinx in a totally new combination, right? So queen bees, they do, I think when they select the male that they're going to mate with, they do this dance, and I think he dies at the end. So it feels like he's saying, right, if the U.S., if America is the quote unquote mother bee, and this is what she does, right? They're victims of Saturday's dance or whatever, like this idea of like they're feeding the queen almost. Yeah, this is a challenging poem, y'all. What did I do to myself? My bad. Yeah, I'll either post it in full if I have the characters, or I'll post a link to it. And you know what? I would love to see your interpretation of this poem, feel free to put it in the comments, anybody that watches the episode. Okay, so the last thing that I want to do before I leave is I saw an update on Niger, so I wanted to touch base on that. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to go to the first article I see here. And it says, Politico, Pentagon orders all U.S. combat troops to withdraw from Niger. Okay. I'm just going to say. We had 1,000 troops in Niger. A blow to the Biden administration's efforts to counter terrorism and Russian influence in West Africa. We're still doing this Cold War bullshit, like where you divide the world in half. It's like this half is yours, this half is mine, and then everything is a proxy war. It's disgusting. All right. The U.S. announced in April that it would begin discussing plans for an orderly and responsible withdrawal after Niger's military junta declared it would revoke its military cooperation deal with Washington. Yeah, people are sick of our bullshit. I don't know if I even need to keep reading. Like, okay, so the timeline is not set. And they said over the next several months. So that would be like 6 to 8 months. Excuse me. The move upends years of counterterrorism efforts in the Sahel, I'm unfamiliar with that location. I'll have to look it up. Niger, particularly a U.S.-built drone base at Agadez has been the linchpin of that strategy. So we're treating them as a satellite base, like their whole country, basically. This is nah. Article's almost over. You know what? Never mind. It's the same thing everywhere. We can't conquer the world. We just can't. Why would we want to? So ridiculous. You see why I'm not checking these headlines. What are you doing in Niger? Leave those people alone. All right. I'm going to wrap up, and let's see, today's Friday. I usually don't do Friday episodes, so it's a special one. Maybe I'll come back on Sunday, but if I don't, either way, I'll do a little advert for our next episode, because this is the end of season 3, episode 15. Only about 4 more episodes in this season, and still marveling how I've managed to do 3 seasons in a little over a year. I feel like I don't come on here that often, but I come on here a heck of a lot, apparently. All right. And so thank you to everyone that's been checking out the episodes. And like I said, you'll either see me Sunday, or if you don't see me, you'll see an ad for the next episode. Okay. Take care. Bye.